For 3 years, I showed up early, stayed late, and poured everything I had into my work. For 3 years, my boss walked into every meeting, every boardroom, every executive call, and presented that work as his own. I watched him get praised. I watched him get promoted. I watched him take raises that should have been mine. And I let it happen. Not because I was weak, not because I didn't know what was going on, but because I was building something. A file, a record, a case. And on the day he tried to do it one final time, the biggest presentation of his career, I was ready. This is the story of how 3 years of patience paid off in about 48 hours. Let me take you back to when this all started. I landed the job at a mid-sized marketing firm, I'll call it Pinnacle Group, fresh out of a master's program. It was exactly what I wanted. Creative work, real clients, real budgets, and what I thought was a real opportunity to grow. My direct manager was a guy I'll call Derek. Mid-40s, perfectly pressed shirts, the kind of guy who had a firm handshake and an answer for everything. What that really meant was that Derek was exceptional at presenting other people's ideas as his own and calling it vision. I didn't see it at first. Nobody handed me a warning when I joined. You learn these things by living them. The first time it happened, I told myself it was a misunderstanding. I had spent 3 weeks developing a full campaign strategy for one of our biggest retail clients. The whole thing. I sent it to Derek for review on a Thursday night. Friday morning, I'm sitting in the client meeting. Derek pulls up a presentation. My slides, my data, my strategy. Not once did he say my name. The client loved it. The room loved it. Derek soaked in every word of praise with a smile I will never forget. After the meeting, I pulled him aside. I told him I'd noticed he hadn't mentioned my involvement. He clapped me on the shoulder and said, "That's how it works at this level. The team does the work, the manager takes it to the client. You'll understand when you get there." I nodded, I smiled, I went back to my desk, and I opened a new folder on my personal hard drive and named it Evidence. Over the next 3 years, this became the rhythm of my life at Pinnacle Group. I would build something. Derek would present it. Derek would get the credit. A brand repositioning campaign for a pharmaceutical client, mine. A digital strategy overhaul that grew a retail client's online revenue by 62%, mine. A competitive analysis that landed us a contract worth over $2 million. Mine. Every single time, Derek found a way to put himself at the center of it and quietly push me to the edges. He was smart about it. He never outright lied. He used words like "we" and "the team" in ways that made it easy to assume he had been equally involved. He scheduled presentations for times when I wasn't in the room. He would revise my slide decks just enough to put his name in the footer. And every performance review, I was told I was doing great work, but that I needed to develop more executive presence before I could move into a senior role. Executive presence. From the man who hadn't had an original strategic thought in 3 years. What kept me there? Honestly, I was building my portfolio whether Derek acknowledged it or not. The work was real. The results were documented. And every project that went out under his name went into my folder with timestamps, version histories, original drafts, and email chains. I also started doing one more thing. Every time I sent Derek a draft, I CC'd it to my personal email. Not the company email, my personal Gmail, with a timestamp, with the subject line clearly showing the project name and my name as author. 3 years of that, hundreds of emails, a paper trail so clean you could eat off it. I wasn't planning revenge. I was planning proof. The difference matters. In the third year, Pinnacle Group was pitching for the largest contract in company history, a national consumer goods brand, Crestfield, worth an estimated $4.5 million annually. The managing director personally selected Derek to lead the pitch. It was his chance to cement his place as a senior partner. Derek came to me. For the last time, as it turned out, he told me this was a big one and that he needed me to work my magic. He wanted a full brand audit, a 3-year strategic roadmap, creative direction, projected metrics, and a competitor landscape analysis. Delivered in 2 weeks. I worked 16-hour days for 14 straight days. The final deck was 112 slides, every number sourced, every recommendation backed by data. The executive summary alone was something I'm genuinely proud of to this day. I sent it to Derek at 11:47 p.m. on a Sunday night, 2 days before the pitch. His response came back in 4 minutes. 4 minutes to read 112 slides of original strategic work. Great stuff. I'll take it from here. That was it. No thank you. No acknowledgement of what I'd just handed him. I stared at that email for a long time. Then I forwarded it to my Gmail, added it to the folder, and started writing an email of my own. One I'd actually drafted months earlier, updated and refined it over time, and never sent. Until now. The morning of the Crestfield pitch, Derek arrived at the office in his best suit, confident, ready to walk into that boardroom and deliver the performance of his career. At 8:14 a.m., 46 minutes before the pitch was scheduled to begin, I sent an email, not to Derek, to the managing director, to the 2 founding partners, to the head of HR, and to the 3 Crestfield executives. The subject line was simple: authorship documentation, Crestfield pitch materials. The email was professional, measured, no accusations, no emotion, just facts. It contained a timeline. Every project I had originated in the past 3 years, with original drafts, time-stamped emails from my personal account. Predating anything Derek had submitted, version histories pulled from the company's own cloud storage showing my login as the sole editor for the first 40 to 60 hours of work. And a clear, documented record of what I had built versus what Derek had presented. I included the Crestfield deck specifically. My original send at 11:47 p.m., Derek's 4-minute response, and a comparison of the file metadata showing my account as the sole author of all 112 slides. I ended the email with one paragraph. I have great respect for Pinnacle Group and the work we do here. I'm sharing this documentation not out of bitterness, but because I believe the people in that boardroom today deserve to know who built what they are about to see presented. I am available to speak with anyone at any time. Then I closed my laptop, got a coffee, and waited. The pitch was canceled. Not postponed. Canceled. I found out later that one of the founding partners had pulled Derek out of the boardroom lobby before he even walked in. They went to a conference room. The door was closed for 2 hours. I sat at my desk and answered emails like it was a normal Tuesday. By noon, I had a meeting request from HR and both founding partners. I brought printed copies of everything, the full folder organized by date, bound, and tabbed. The meeting lasted 90 minutes. Derek was placed on administrative leave that afternoon. He resigned 3 weeks later before the formal investigation concluded. I never saw him again. Crestfield was called and rescheduled. The founding partners presented, using my deck with my name prominently credited on the title slide. We won the contract. 2 weeks after that, I was offered a senior strategist role, a real one, with the title, the salary, and the seat at the table that should have come years earlier. I thought about it for a week. Then I submitted my resignation. Not out of anger, I just knew I was done there. I'd spent 3 years proving something and I had nothing left to prove. I took the documented portfolio, the Crestfield win on my resume, which I had every right to claim, and walked into a senior role at a competing firm at a 38% salary increase. Derek, from what I heard through mutual contacts, had a much harder time landing on his feet. Turns out, when your entire reputation is built on other people's work, the cracks show fast. I don't celebrate that. Not really. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about it sometimes when I'm sitting in meetings, as myself, with my name on the work, and feel something that might be peace. 3 years is a long time to be patient. But here's what I learned. When you build your case slowly, quietly, and completely, you don't just win. You win in a way that can never be questioned, never be undone, and never be taken from you. They thought I was just doing the work. I was. Just not only their work. If this story hit close to home, if you've sat at a desk wondering whether it's worth it to keep going, subscribe. There are more stories where this came from, and if you have one of your own, drop it in the comments. You might just see it here next week. I'm served cold, and justice, when it finally arrives, is always worth the wait.